And here, you played e4, just normal, b6, right? Knight f3, bishop b7, just normal again, but here, d3. What do you think is wrong with d3?
Not developing pieces, maybe?
Not necessarily. I think it's kind of too passive, you know? Because, see how this pawn on d3 is kind of annoying for you in the future because you're not taking the control of this square here on d4. And that's something that we have to consider. See how maybe instead of playing d3 in this position, why not knight c3, and then afterwards probably just push d4, right? And see how the control that you are going to have in the center is going to be way better than having a pawn on d3. The other thing that I have to say is that d3 is not so bad. If you're thinking that you want to play something like a King's Indian attack, but a King's Indian attack is a little bit different, right? What you try to play in a King's Indian attack is not your bishop through e2, but you try to play g3, bishop g2, you castle, you play knight d2, and then you start to throw an attack with moves like h4, and you try to kill the guy and whatever, right? That's a King's Indian attack. It's a little bit different. So d3 here, I think it's passive. If anything in this position, you should try to play d4. Evidently here you cannot play d4 immediately because the pawn on e4 is falling, but maybe knight c3 here could work pretty decently. See how one of our priorities during the opening is to control the center. It's not only about developing our pieces, it's not only about getting our king out of the center, it's not only about whatever, fianqueros or whatever you want, it's also about controlling the center. Because the guy who controls the center has more mobility, and he who has more mobility has the advantage. So, in this position, d3 a little bit dubious. You know, it's not to say that it's a big mistake. It's not to say that it's the end of the world. It's just to say that if you are the white pieces, maybe you should be fighting for the initiative. You know, why?
Yeah, I see.
Because you are the guy who has the first move. You have the advantage, and that's something important. So here, push d4 as soon as you can. I mean, knight c3. Defend the pawn on e4, and if I play, I don't know, e6 here, then push d4, and see how this looks way better, and your center is quite solid at the moment. Evidently, this is theoretical, and there are some lines and whatever, and usually the black pieces play bishop b4, and then the center gets attacked, but the general idea being that what you want to do here is to take the center. So d3 is an okay move, but it's not an excellent move, it's not the best move, I believe. So we have to be careful with that. e6, bishop e2, one more time here, it's a little bit incongruent, I would say, with an idea of playing a King's Indian attack with bishop g2, which could be what I would like to play in this position with the white pieces, because it transposes into a French defense, right? See how I'm playing e6 and I'm playing d5. And this is going to be a transposition. And now what we're doing here, instead of just being into this Owen defense with bishop b7 and b6, we're going to be into a French defense. And usually in these French defenses, what happens is something like, I mean, this is what Fischer used to play against this kind of position sometimes, which is something like g3, d5, knight d2. The only difference would be this bishop on b7, but generally the idea is more or less this one. See how the black pieces can do a couple of things, maybe bishop e7, bishop d6, whatever, finishing their development, maybe even c5 sometimes, then bishop g2, knight c6 or something like that, and then you castle, and see how your position is quite congruent, nobody's dying yet. If the black pieces ever take on e4, generally you take with a pawn, and you keep a really good center. See how your pieces are pretty well developed, whatever, right?
How about you take with the knight instead?
It's another possibility, but I mean, usually when you take here, there is a knight on f6, and the problem that you're going to have is that if you take here, the other guy takes, and then you exchange a lot of pieces, and you get into a more or less equal position, and that may not be what you want to do in these kind of positions. It's not to say that it's wrong, but it's to say that maybe you want to fight for the initiative, maybe you want to fight for the game, instead of just going for a drawish position, right? So, Fischer used to play this King's Indians attack, and I think it's quite cool. I play them from time to time because I think are quite active, even though they play the pawn on d3 and it seems a little bit slower. It's like a mix between having a King's Indian's defense and at the same time having the white pieces, and then you can throw your pieces up and try to kill the guy against the French defense, sometimes against the Carrero, and even sometimes against the Sicilian. I think it's a really good system. But whatever, we're going a little bit out of the topic, right? So bishop e2, d5. He takes d5. See how in this position you are just defining the center, and you are basically giving me the center with the black pieces at the moment. Like e takes, pawn takes, and then see this. I have a pawn on d5, which is controlling more squares than this guy here. So, and that's annoying, right? It was so annoying that here you decided to play d4, which I think is a correct move now, because you want to fight for the center. But at the same time, see how you could have done that before in just one single move, without having to lose some other move. So it's not as efficient, right? And we're looking for the efficiency here. We're looking for the less quantity of moves to get the best results. Why? Because if we do so, then we have a better position with our pieces generally. We are not wasting time, our guys are doing whatever they have to do, and that's really cool. Also, something that I'm noticing is that here you do not have a plan. You're just putting your pieces out without having an idea, an objective of what you want to do. Here you should know what your plan is. From the moment that you play d3, you're defining your position into something, and you need to know what you want to do here, right? See how instead of just having a plan, what you're doing is that you're moving your bishop to e2, you're probably throwing your pawn to d4 again. That's telling us that there's not a lot of planning. And
can I just have a question?
Sure. What is it?
So over here, I was thinking about pushing the pawn instead. Would that have been a better move?
I think that could have been an interesting idea. But see how, one more time, this is not anymore an Owen's defense with bishop d7. It's more of a French position, right? And what's happening here is that the only problem that I can see with e5 is that you are not playing d4 directly. See how you're defining this pawn too early. When you play these positions here, usually like e4, e6, whoops, sorry, wait a second, e4, e6, d4, d5, you push e5, but you're not losing the tempo with d3. So that's a little change there in the situation. I think e5 is playable in that position, and I don't think it's the end of the world. Actually, this is something that happens a lot in the King's Indian's defenses that I was telling you before. The only difference would be that you have the bishop on e2 instead of having it on g2, sorry, and that could be something to consider. But I guess you could recover the tempo and play d4 eventually, and maybe bishop f4 to defend the pawn and whatever. So I don't think e5 is a mistake here, but I think that you're losing some tempi, and that's a problem that you'll have. And also, generally in these kind of positions in the French defense, you do not want your bishop on e2, but rather you want your bishop on d3. That's a difference that you have. Because see how your bishop on e2 does not have a lot of mobility, whereas your bishop on d3,
that's right,
it is really good here. So it's often something really common that you'll see bishops on d3 in the French defenses for the white pieces. And the reason why I say this also is because often, see how your bishop on e2 can be a little bit annoying for your own position. See how when you castle and you want to move your rook to e1 to defend your pawn on e5, for example, one of the problems that you have is that your bishop is in the middle of this line here, and you won't be able to defend the pawn as efficiently one more time as you could if the bishop is not on e2. Hope that makes sense.
Okay, I see.
So,
I see your point.
Those are some little subtleties here, right? And what that's telling us is that, one more time, d4 is the move and the way to proceed. Evidently, after preparing it. And that's something interesting for us to see. If you want to play d3, that makes sense, but you need to have a plan. You need to know what you want to do. You need to say, well, I have to play the King's Indian's defense, whatever, the King's Indian's attack, sorry, whatever. But you need to know what you want to do. So, see how I'm playing what I know I'm playing what I know I want to play in this position. Because this is pretty much what you play with this defense. You play bishop e7, you play e6, then you push d5, sometimes you move your knight to f7, sometimes your bishop goes to e7, sometimes it goes to b4, depending on the position. if you get me into this position in which I'm going to be playing a French defense, then I have to adapt to that, and I have to fight for the center as soon as possible so that I can have some control of it, push my pieces up, maybe finishing my development in this fashion, and then suddenly all my pieces are out, and every single one of them knows what it's going to be doing, right?
Yeah, I see.
On the other hand, you are not planning, and that's a problem that you're going to have. So what I want you to do, and this is something that I talk so much about in my videos, like it's annoying, you know, I sometimes listen to myself and I get annoyed. I go like, dude, yeah, I already know this, but be constantly planning. And the best example I can give you of this is that, you know, maybe a week ago I was in my classes in psychology, and one of my professors said something that, I mean, this guy's a genius. Literally, he's like a Wikipedia with legs. He's walking around with like millions of books in his brain. The guy's a genius. And he comes to me and he said, Paul, we're talking about experimental psychology. He goes and he said, Paul, you need to plan, or better phrase, it would be something like, he who plans carefully has the ability to improvise comfortably. You know, and I thought that was thoroughly interesting. He who plans carefully has the ability to improvise comfortably. And what that means is that if you know what plan you're following, eventually when the position comes in which you have to improvise, in which you have to force your pieces up, in which you have to kill the other guy, what's going to happen is that you are going to be in a position in which that's going to fly. And the guy said that, and I was like, dude, that makes a lot of sense in chess as well. I'm going to say that to the next guy who wants me to teach him something, because I thought that was amazing, right? I'm going to be annoying, but I'm going to be annoying in a different way. So the idea being...
You can always learn something.
Yeah.
You know.
But the idea being, is if you plan, then do not be surprised when your pieces are doing something, when your pieces are accomplishing objectives, when your pieces are killing the other guy, and then you can throw through tactics and attack that will kill the other guy. So see how here you're lacking the planning. And what I am seeing is that you are focusing just on one piece at a time. Remember that chess is not only one piece at a time, chess is every single one of the pieces at every single time. What that means is that in this position, for example, and this is a note that I made here in move 8, your pieces are going alright. I don't think that there is like a lot of trouble in your position. This is more or less equal. In this position, something that I have to remark, and this is what I wrote in my notes here, you are thinking, well, I want to play bishop f4, right? And then you said, well, should I play bishop f4? And you spent some time here thinking, see how like 40 seconds, probably a little bit more than that, but
I was thinking going here or here. I wasn't sure what was the best move.
But you're thinking just bishop f4,
maybe,
right? See how you're thinking?
Yes.
Bishop f4, you're thinking maybe bishop e3, you're thinking maybe bishop d2 or something, right? Let's say that that's what you're thinking at this position. But that's not the only thing that you should be thinking of. What you should be thinking also is, what's going to happen with this guy? 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 What's going to happen with this other guy here? What's going to happen with this guy here and this guy here? Do I want to throw an attack on the queen side with c4? What do I want to do, right? It's not only should I play bishop f4, is what's going to be the position of every single one of my pieces in an ideal scenario. And then you decide what you want to do, right? Like here you sit down and you say, well, maybe I'd like to have my bishop on e3 or on f4. What's the advantage of it? Well, maybe if I play my bishop to f4, I have the option to move my knight to d2 without obstructing my bishop. That could be an idea. Maybe in the future, if I have my bishop on d2, I can try to push c4, as my bishop is defending the pawn on c4. I could recapture with my knight. I could maybe play even rook c1 and try to push c4 and fight for the center. Maybe you realize that that's not what you want to do, because you argue with yourself that, well, if you play c4, then the other guy can take with the e-pawn, and then he's opening his diagonal for his bishop, whatever, right? But you need to know what's going on, and you need to know the plan that you want to follow. Maybe your plan is a little bit more simple than that. Maybe your plan is, well, I could play h3, so that the other guy does not play knight g4, being annoying on the bishop, that I could move to e3. Then maybe I could play something really solid. I could play something like knight d2, c3, rook e1, knight f1, knight g3, whoops, knight g3, and then my knight could go to f5. Due to the fact that the bishop is not on c8, defending this diagonal, the squares f5 and these white squares here are not gonna be so protected. And that could be a good point to try to take advantage of. Maybe in the future when I have a knight on g3, after I have done this maneuver, I could move my knight to h4, and then I could try to get here with my two knights generating attacks. I don't know, you know?
Excuse me, are you moving the pieces? Because I can't see any movement.
Oh, you cannot see. Let me just refresh here. Whoops, sorry for that. Can you see the...
Now I can, yeah.
Alright, perfect. Really sorry about that. And here.
No problem.
What happened? Whoa. Alright, here. And what I was saying was that in this position you can just decide what you want to do. But you have to decide, well, maybe I want to play bishop e3, but I want to play h3 to stop this guy from coming here, annoying my bishop. Okay. Then I can play knight d2, yeah. I can play c3, I can play rook e1, can move my knight to f1, then I can move my knight to g3, right? For example, like in this maneuver.
I see.
And what could happen in the future is that due to the fact that this bishop is not in this diagonal anymore, maybe, and just maybe, I could try to generate pressure on the square f5 with my knights, and I could try to maneuver there. I could try to get my pieces into really active squares. Maybe I could try to, in the future, double up rooks here. I don't know, right? But see how I'm just throwing moves which are gonna be part of my plan. I know what my plan is. I decide what my plan is, and then just after I have decided what's my plan, I play bishop f4 or bishop e3 or whatever I decided that I wanted to do. Does that make sense?
So what was... Yeah, it does. What was black plans?
In this position...
Did you have a plan?
Yeah, in this position my plan was quite simple. I had a couple of plans. One of them was I could simply come here, come here, come here, and eventually generate pressure on d4 and castle, push my pawn to c5 with my rook on c8, and try to open this diagonal for this bishop, for example.
Okay, I see.
Like,
makes sense.
Something like this to make it a little bit more clear, right? Because there are too many arrows and it could be a kind of...
No, it's okay. So, yeah.
So, something like this, right?
Yeah.
And this is more or less my plan. Because I want to open the diagonal for my bishop. If you ever take with this pawn, what you're doing is that you're bringing more pawns towards the center, which could mean that I could have more central control in the future, which could mean that eventually I could gain more space, which could mean that eventually your pieces are not going to have so much mobility, whatever. But see my plan. So, I have a plan. You should have a plan. Why? Because it's not only about this guy here. It's about this guy in relationship to these other guys, to these guys, and to these guys. You know?
All of the pieces.
Exactly.
Really.
It's not only the bishop, it's how the bishop interacts with every single one of the other pieces. And that can be kind of scary, you know? Because sometimes you go like, oh my god, this is overwhelming. This is so difficult. But in reality, it's just to diagnose the problems that you have in the position. Try to figure out how to solve them. What would be the position in which your pieces would make more sense? What would be the position in which the pieces of the other guy would make more sense? Try to stop him from getting into that position. Try to sabotage. Try to generate pressure. Try to attack. Try to maybe sometimes stop him from getting into his ideal position. And then you go up, you go up, you go up, and you kill him. It's slowly, it's progressively, but that's a strategy in chess, you know? So, see how many things I'm thinking about here. And see how you're just thinking, should I move my bishop to f4? Should I move my bishop to e3? And I'm thinking about all of these things, and I'm thinking even about your plans, because I thought about these plans, and I thought about this, 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 I thought about this. And I'm trying to stop you from doing so. At the same time, I'm trying to get into my ideal position, whatever. So, evidently, another plan could be something like this, something like this, something like... Whoops. Something like this, something like this, something like this, so that you have some defense here. Or maybe just simply something like this, something like this, something like... Whoops. Like this. And then you get here, you have a really nice... square for your knight here, which is protected, but not only the knight but also the pawn. Maybe you can then try to figure out what to do with this bishop. Who knows? Developing it through e3 and then f2, so that it gets not too vulnerable in the position. Whatever, right? But you need to have something. You cannot just be a blank mind here. You have to know something. You have to know what's happening, and you have to know what's your plan. It's not only about this guy. It's this guy in relationship to every single one of the other guys. Hope that makes sense. So
Yes, it does.
and this is a really important thing that I have to emphasize again, because I really admire this guy. He's a genius. He's saying, one more time, plan carefully and then improvise comfortably. And I go like, dude, this is really smart. So see how you're planning carefully in this position. I am doing so. And see how I'm just getting into my ideal position. I wanted to play c5, but as you did not allow me to do so, you played b4, I needed to change a little bit my plan. And see how I played knight e4 here in this position, and now I'm kind of improvising in this new plan that I am having and whatever. But it's comfortable because my pieces are not tied together. They are not annoying. They are kind of doing their work, and that's what I want to do. So one more time, let's start here. Bishop f4. All right, knight e7, c3. Here, the only thing that I would say is that I don't like so much to play so passively with the white pieces. And another thing that I would say is that maybe c3 is a little bit premature. Because is somebody attacking the pawn on d4?
No.
Does the pawn on d4 need defense?
Not really, no.
Then do you really need to play c3 right now?
No, it was not necessary.
I played similar positions to this one before with some other students, and often something that they tell me is that they want to play solid. And I go like, dude, if Karpov plays c3 in this position, that's solid. But if you play c3 in this position, that's not solid. What's happening here is that you're kind of losing a tempo and not playing flexible. What I mean by that is that if it's actually going to be solid, you need to have a plan in which this pawn is fundamental. You need to have an idea, a concrete position in which this pawn on c3 is going to work. If not, then what you're doing is that you are stopping this knight from going out. You're saying to this knight on b1, you know what? Wait. You can wait. You're stay there. Do not go out. Keep being lazy. I'm going to play c3. All right, but what's the objective, right? So maybe a better way to proceed, knight d2 first. Why? Because you're finishing your development, you are not fixing your pawns on c3. See how one more time, playing c3 is almost equivalent to play d3 in the opening as you played. Because in the future you might want to play c4. And you do not know that yet, right? So,
no.
In this position, maybe playing c3 could work. It's not the end of the world, but see how you can keep being a little bit more flexible. Just like when you played d3, you could have played d4 and being a little bit more flexible and fighting a little bit more for the initiative. So I will say
a bit more active. A bit more active than the knight.
I mean, and knight d2 doesn't seem to me like the end of the world. It's not like you're winning or losing. Just a little bit more flexible. And these little flexibilities eventually lead you to a position in which you can again improvise a little bit more comfortably. You can move your pieces a little bit more freely. Your pieces are flowing. Your pieces. I don't have more synonyms. I mean, your pieces have a better position, pretty much, right? If the other guy does not keep up, then you eventually could just simply break the center. Maybe you could even prepare that a little bit more. You can even play b3 and then push c4, so that if I take, then you can take, and then see how you have a really strong center and whatever, right? Or you can play something like rook c1, and I don't know, the same idea of playing something like this, or maybe something like this, or something like this, or maybe h3, so that your bishop has a square to go backwards if I ever want to capture it, whatever. But again, you need to know what you're doing. You cannot just play because if you do so, then a guy who is not playing because comes and kills you. So knight f8. This bishop here could be an objective for me to gain in a tempo, so that's cool. Bishop e3. I just castle, and see how one more time in this position I'm just getting into the position that I dreamt of before, which is basically now I have to play c5. But then you played b4, and you want to stop me from playing c5. But the problem that you have here is that as you play b4, you are not only stopping me from playing c5. What else are you doing here?
Not the knights. Oops.
What's happening when you play b5? What's happening when you play b4? Sorry.
maybe the bishop is kind of blocked into this diagonal,
Alright, you might say so, but there is also something else.
and
Whenever you move a
your
pawn,
pawns here, maybe,
whenever you move a
are
pawn,
in trouble.
what happens?
Um,
Every time you move a pawn, there is something that happens, which is
it gets closer to the
you generate
end of the board.
a weakness.
Okay.
Because see how when you move your pawn to b4, then the pawn is not defending on c3 anymore.
Yeah.
Also, let's say that I move my pawn to h3, then as the pawn is not on h2 anymore, then it's not defending on g3. Therefore, the square g3 is a little bit more weak than it was before.
Yeah.
See how whenever you move a pawn up, alright, you're gaining a little bit more of a space, but at the same time, you're generating weaknesses. Now, the weakness that you have is the pawn on c3. And also, the pawn on b4 itself can be a weakness that I could try to exploit in the future. On one hand, you're stopping me from playing c5, but on the other hand, you're generating weaknesses in your position, which could be exploited in the future. So you have to be really careful with these kind of moves. This b4 is a move that I don't like that much. Even if I am gonna play c5, I think that probably just finishing your development or something, but b4, I don't quite like b4. The reason why is because, let's say that I played this, c5. I don't know if you can hear me. Yes?
I can hear you.
Perfect. So, let's say that you play 92, then c5 happens. It's not the end of the world. Because if I ever capture here, then you can recapture either with your knight, or with your bishop, or with your pawn, whatever, and your position is still quite solid. So,
Okay.
I don't think it's the end of the world. But nonetheless, when you move your pawn to b4, you are not only debilitating this pawn on c3, debilitating this pawn on b4, but denying, one more time, this knight, this square d2. Right? Like, this knight is...
It can, because then
Yeah, the knight's gonna stay there.
that piece will be unprotected.
The knight is gonna stay there. And that's an advantage. So see how, in this position, I do not only have this weakness here to try to exploit with the black pieces. I have this one here, and I have this knight which is undeveloped. So now it's time for the black pieces to take action. And I play knight e4. Knight e4 has a couple of ideas behind it. One of them is that evidently you cannot move this knight. That's good, because you cannot finish your development. Remember what I told you before. Do not allow him to finish his plan. His idea is to finish his development, right? Do not allow him to do so. In this position, I do not allow you to do so. So here you play bishop d3, but there is another problem, another consequence of playing something like bishop d3 if you want to trade this bishop for this knight, which is that, alright, you get rid of this knight, but at the same time you keep this bad bishop on e3, which is a problem, and at the same time your white squares go weaker.
I see.
You get rid of your pair of bishops, you get rid of your bishop of white squares, you debilitate your white squares, and the position is going to be open. So, dangerous if you ask me, right? a5.
Okay.
See how now I am going from having the advantage of just simply having a knight better developed than this one, to just starting to materialize the advantage. Now I have something tangible, something that I can touch, something that can be exploited, something that can be used in the future. So here when you play pawn takes, which I don't like that much either, see how now you have to pay a little bit of the consequences of playing b4. Here you said, well, how do I defend the pawn? Do I play queen b3? I don't like queen b3. Do I play a3? I cannot, because he takes, and then I take, and then he takes, and then the rook falls, and that's not cool. So you're starting to pay the consequences. Now you play pawn takes, I take with the rook, you have this pawn here which is going to be a weakness, you have this pawn here which is going to be a weakness, and that's pretty much the problem that you have, right?
Okay, I see.
So what's this pawn called in chess?
Quet's pawn?
This pawn.
Backward pawn or something like that.
A backwards pawn, right? But in Spanish, we have a little bit more of a cruel way of calling this pawn, and it's a retarded pawn. And
Alright.
And what happens here?
Like the banner.
Yeah, in Spanish we call it a retarded pawn. It's not the euphemism that you use in English. It's a little bit more hardcore, right? You say this is a retarded pawn. And what's happening here is that this pawn is not going to be able to advance in the future. It's going to be kind of trapped maybe. If I get to do so, then this pawn is going to be a debility, which I could try to take advantage of. So you have to be really careful with that. So that is assuming that you do not take here. If you take, well, the pawn has mobility, but at the same time you're giving away the pair of bishops. And at the same time this bishop is gaining a little bit more of activity. And at the same time this knight is being threatened. And at the same time this pawn is weak because this is an isolated pawn. So things are starting to get a little bit messy, and we are all starting to see chaos on the board and whatever, right? So bishop takes, pawn takes, knight e5. And here you said, well, maybe you're going to play f6. And that's an idea. I thought about that for a second. And actually I was thinking that that might be the move. But then I thought that playing f6 wasn't so useful, because at the end of the day, alright, I play f6, but what am I supposed to do next? And I did not know how to answer that question. Like, alright, I play f6, you go backwards, then I need to move my rook. If I move my rook, because evidently you're threatening it, where do I move my rook? I cannot come here because there is a queen, cannot come here because there is a bishop, cannot come here. I mean, if I come here, then I am stopping myself from playing something like this, which I wanted to play, maybe. And if I go backward, then that's kind of sad. So I did not know what to do with that. On the other hand, there was something that I noticed, which is that as you move your knight from f3, what happens?
Protect the h2 pawn.
Exactly. When your knight is not on f3, there is no knight on f3 defending the pawn on h2. If that's the case, then the pawn on f2, the pawn on h2 would be a little bit weak. Maybe, and just maybe, out of my calculations here and my Machiavellian mind, if you will, I want to play bishop d6, because see that there is a little bit of an X-ray there, and that could be annoying in the future. And maybe I could try to take advantage of that. And there are sacrifices like bishop takes h2 in many circumstances when there is not a knight on f3. Remember also that one of the requisites that you have to have in order to sacrifice on h2 is generally not to have a knight on f3, which is defending. And that's really good. Also, when you have the control of the center, that's really good as well. So I thought that maybe there could be something, there could be some tactics. And I played bishop d6. Also, in this position, I thought that another move to try to defend could be f4, but I thought that would be nice for me because I could take with my e-pawn, and then as you take with your knight, what's happening here is that, well, I open these diagonals, and I would be afraid to play this position with the white pieces, because that, those are like too many arrows, you know, like too many bad guys coming. I would be kind of afraid. So in this position, what do? We see the position and we say, well, that's bad for him. I don't want to play that position with the white pieces. So the only move that he has here, maybe knight c4. And if he does so, he's threatening to take my bishop, and he's threatening to take my rook, and that's something that I don't want. But wait a second, we just discussed that there was a problem on h2. Maybe there is a possibility for us to sacrifice. And see how...
I have tried this sacrifice before. I think it's called the Greek gift or something like this. I have played this maybe like 2 times or something like that. And I thought it looked okay, but all the times I lost. When I played this move.
There are certain requisites.
There were no pieces on this side, like they were placed in the middle somewhere, and I sacrificed, or maybe the pawn was here, I'm not sure. Well, anyway.
But there is a reason why this sacrifice is not working for you. You are violating some principle here, which is that when you want to sacrifice here, you have to have the following. You have to have more pieces attacking than the other guy has defending. You have to have more king safety than the other guy has. See how my king is safer than yours. See how I have more pieces attacking than you have defending.
Yeah.
Like,
I see.
Maybe this guy is defending, and maybe this guy is defending. Whoops, sorry, this queen is not coming here. This queen is coming here. So this could be attacking, and that's a lot of arrows, right? It's not so obvious when you're looking at the position without the arrows that there are so many pieces attacking, right? But that's what I am thinking of. So see how more pieces attacking than you have defending, I have more king safety. I have the control of the center. See this guy here?
Yeah.
I have more development than you have. And I have also more activity than you have. All of those things, by themselves, even without calculating, are telling me Paul, sacrifice. You know? Even without calculating in this position. Nonetheless, I have to calculate. I mean, I'm not reckless. I'm not gonna just jump and try to kill you without having an idea of what I have to do. But all of these things are telling me, Paul, why don't you sacrifice? And I go like, all right. If the board, if the pieces, if the board are talking to me and are saying, Paul, sacrifice, then I might be crazy because boards and pieces do not talk. But on the other hand, what's happening here could be maybe I should sacrifice. And if that's the case, then I'm gonna try to listen to the piece and I'm gonna say, well, let's see the calculations. And I go through the calculations and I go like, bishop takes, king takes, and well, then I can come here with my queen, I can come here with my rook. That seems annoying. The king does not have many ways to go out. And also, if he tries to go out through this road here, I have bishop h6, which would be annoying, and all of these things are adding up. So, queen h4, king here, rook here. Suddenly there is a mate threat. And there are just two ways of stopping this mate threat, I believe. One of them is to move the f-pawn, so that when I give you a check, you have this square to go out.
Oh yeah.
But that doesn't seem so nice, right? Because if you move this pawn up, whether to f3 or to f4, then I take with my e-pawn, and then this diagonal gets open, and that seems like a checkmate about to happen. So, that's not so cool, right? The other way to go is, well, you can try to play king f1, to which I could answer with something like queen h1 check, and then take on g2, and then I'm threatening to take, to play queen f3 and whatever, and that seems like something that could work. But I could also go a little bit more of a threat. Remember that the threat is always stronger, well, not always, but generally is stronger than the execution. Have you heard that before?
Could you repeat that? It's stronger than?
The threat is stronger than the execution.
No, I haven't heard this before.
What that means is that, let's say that you have a pin, right? Let's say that in this position we have this pin. And you can defend it. You can play queen b3 or something like that. One of the things that I could do is that I could take this knight here. But that wouldn't be so nice because you could just simply try to take it. What's better than executing the position here? What's better than taking the knight here? To increase the pressure.
Just
and how do we...
the threats.
You increase the threats, right? Think of it as a kidnapper. You know, like a really bad guy. What do you want to do if you're a kidnapper? Do you really want to kill the other person? I don't think so. Because if you kill the other person, I mean, if you kill the person that you kidnap, what's the problem that you're facing? If you get caught and the police comes and whatever, you're facing now not only kidnapping as a charge, you're also facing killing, right? And homicide, and you do not want to have that trouble. At the same time, probably you want to just simply get the money and go away. So instead of killing the person, what should you do? I mean, this is kind of a weird example, but I mean, it's chess. So what should you do? You should threat the people, whatever, ask for the money, for the, I don't know, whatever you are asking for, and then give away the person, right? The threat is stronger than killing the person, because if you kill the person, then nobody's gonna pay anything. Also, hope that makes sense. I mean, that's kind of a weird example, but that's an example.
It makes sense.
So, here in this position, I mean, I don't know what to do with the white pieces. So you were saying queen a4, right? In this position, if you play queen a4, I was thinking that maybe bishop b5 could be an idea, because now your queen is out of the way. I don't know, you have to defend this knight, and when you do so, then I can just simply come. Evidently you cannot take, right, because it's defended, but I was thinking that now you do not have the defender of this diagonal, and I could try to take advantage of that, like queen here check, king here, queen takes, and this could be terribly, terribly annoying, I believe. So that's something to take into consideration. And even if I cannot restore the material here, I think that I have enough compensation. Even if the attack fails or something, and I cannot do anything about the position, whatever, I think that I have accomplished a lot. And I think that this might wind up as a point for the black pieces. Nonetheless, we have to see what the computer has to say, because the computer always kicks our asses and whatever.
Sure.
But this was more or less my idea, my plan here. So I think this was a really, really cool game. I think there were so many different things that we could analyze. I really like this one.